Welcome to Two Hypnotherapists Talking with me, Denise Mejia, in Delaware, USA.
And me, Martin Ferber, in Preston, UK.
This weekly podcast is for anyone and everyone who'd like to know more about the fascinating subject of hypnosis and the benefits it offers.
I'm a clinical hypnotherapist and psychotherapist.
I'm a retired medical doctor turned consulting hypnotist.
We are Two Hypnotherapists Talking.
So let's get on with the episode.
Okay, so let's get on with the show. Denise, we have another guest with us this week, Lori Hammond.
We do. I thought from Canada, but no, she's not. American Lori Hammond, who I've taken a couple of classes with, but each of us have trained in a different school of hypnosis. We're very, very similar, and I think that would be a great thing to talk about. But of course, as our guest, Lori gets to choose what she talks about most. Hi, Lori.
Hi, Denise. Hi, Martin. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome.
So where are you right now calling in from?
I am in Denver, Colorado. Yes, 2 hours behind you, 2 hours behind most everyone. Most of the people who engage with my content are either Eastern time, where you are, or UK time, where Martin is. So I'm used to, I do a lot of the conversions often.
Right. Well, the 5 hour one is easy, but when you get to the US, you try and see the places on the map, and it doesn't quite align.
Yes,
I have a son who's living in Flagstaff at the moment. And
okay.
Sometimes it's 2 hours and sometimes it's 3 because they don't change their clocks.
That's right. I'm kind of jealous of them.
Yeah.
So,
what is your favorite thing about hypnosis?
Oh, that's a doozy of a first question. I like it. Denise, my favorite thing about hypnosis, I guess it would depend on the context, but my favorite thing about hypnosis might simultaneously be one of my least favorite things about hypnosis, which is my favorite thing is how rapidly a person can experience transformation, how effectively a person can experience transformation in a very short period of time. And one of my least favorite things is trying to help a person understand, especially a person who's been in years and years of therapy, that it really can be this easy. I think one of the hardest things about hypnosis is helping people accept how easy it can be.
That actually, I have a little tiny story I'll try and get out in one bite. I had a regular doctor's appointment a few days ago, and this doctor has referred clients to me as a hypnotist. And he mentioned one of them and said, "Oh, he's really lost weight and he feels so much better." And da, 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 da. And I thought, we stopped at week 9 out of 12 with this guy. I thought he was fed up with me. He had weight loss, but he wasn't sure that it wasn't just because he wasn't eating. Why was it hypnosis that was doing it? Yeah, okay. And of course, after a few weeks, he knew what he was going to do. But apparently he's been singing my praises back with my doctor.
Amazing. Isn't it interesting when stuff like that happens?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was your first foray into hypnosis?
I grew up being taught that hypnosis was of the devil.
Oh dear.
That it was witchcraft and you should stay far away from it. And so many years ago, I started following Tim Ferriss, and he was the first person that I knew of that started a podcast. I didn't know what this podcast thing was. So I started listening to Tim Ferriss, and I thought, what else is out there? I listened to all his stuff. I got tired of his stuff, and I thought, who else is out there? And I found this podcast about hypnosis from Mike Mandel and Chris Thompson. And I started listening, and they were just goofy, silly men, very intelligent and kind of silly. And I remember listening and thinking, no, it's not this easy.
Can't be real.
Yeah. And just, really feeling rather skeptical. And after listening to them for a few months, I started thinking, I wonder if this hypnosis thing could help me with my weight. I had really struggled with my weight my whole life. And so I decided that I would go see a couple of hypnotists, and I found 2 local hypnotists. The first one was very heavy on visualization, telling me to visualize. And I'm not really a highly visual person. I've let go of some of that limiting belief now that I know better. But I was just, I left there feeling frustrated and feeling incapable of doing this hypnosis thing. I went and saw another hypnotist, and every time he would walk out to see me, I would hear him coming, because just before he turned the corner, he would go,
oh dear.
Like, he was so disappointed. So needless to say, he and I didn't have rapport. And I thought, I'm just going to learn this hypnosis thing for myself. And so I learned with the lens to help myself with my own issues. And the most magical thing happened, because even though I didn't get this Shazam amazing experience, I should have come to see you, Denise, with my weight, it completely obliterated lifelong depression. Like, I have dealt with depression since my earliest childhood memories, and it has transformed who I am as a person and how I show up in the world and how I see the world in the most beautiful and profound way. So that was my intro to hypnosis.
Wow, that's really interesting, Lori. May I ask, this lifelong depression, did that tie in with the weight thing? Was that over the same period of time?
It's interesting because the depression definitely started as a little girl. I don't know if I would have been diagnosed clinically depressed. I had been since, but my weight issues, it's really interesting, Martin, because I started feeling like I had a weight problem, or like I had an eating problem, or like I was overweight from a conversation I remember having with my dad as a small child. So I had an overweight mentality from very early. I look back at pictures of myself as a child, and I was almost too skinny. I was like a scrawny little kid. But the mindset happened back in childhood. So I'm not sure how much they are correlated, but I would expect quite a bit.
No, because I often get it with clients with weight issues. It's the old, am I fat because I'm unhappy, or am I unhappy because I'm fat?
Yeah.
Yes. It's interesting because in my experience, and I would love to hear what the two of you think about this, but in my experience, there's so many times when a client, especially most of the people I work with, are actually already hypnotists. So they come in with ideas about, initial sensitizing events and such things. And my experience has shown that it doesn't always necessarily matter, as long as you can guide the client into the issue themselves, and it's almost like their unconscious mind will start to uncover and reveal what needs to be uncovered and revealed. So I think when we get our conscious mind too involved in trying to figure out why or how, sometimes I think it almost, in my experience, can make things harder to transform for that person.
So are you talking about now in trance, you need them to bypass that critical factor, etc.?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, just really interesting with you saying you got into it via weight issues. That was my journey into hypnosis as well.
Okay, I did not know that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you did have the traumatic events first.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
But I had weight issues all my adult life. Yo-yo dieting. And I was, you have to convert it into pounds again, Denise. Yeah, I lost a lot of weight with hypnosis.
About 129 pounds, I think it was.
Oh, yeah, that's impressive.
Amazing. He's got a before and after picture on his website.
and kept it off for quite some time, yes?
Yeah, years now, years.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I still have to have a word with myself now and again, though. I have to be careful not to go back into old habits. It's that default position that needs to change, isn't it?
Yes. And that really is, so much of it is habitual. And I think it's really useful to give our clients tools at the end of a session that says, okay, you just experienced a shift. And in the future, there might be moments of, perhaps thinking about that cigarette or thinking about that Snickers bar or whatever it is. And this is how you step right out of it. Because they can step right out of it, but sometimes it is a revisiting and a conscious shift to let the unconscious create a new habit.
Yeah, it's changing that default position, I found. Because, when you are sort of habitually eat a lot of bad food or have bad dietary habits, it's that get up off the sofa, automatically go to the fridge and you've eaten things before you've realized you've done it. It's changing that default position from what can I eat to what can I do.
Yeah, yeah. Focusing on what you want to be doing instead of not on what you're trying to stop doing.
I'm a big fan of what you put in there as a food. I'm going to call it a reward, but your afternoon snack. That absolutely I love. He eats a whole pineapple
Every day.
Oh my, that would do the trick.
It's going to be an honorary Hawaiian soon.
Beautiful.
I was careful how I ask this because I don't want anybody who's hearing it thinking, oh, we're not that interested in my problem. But because hypnosis works for so many things. But what is your favorite thing to work for? Where do you think you see the biggest
My
changes?
favorite, yeah, my favorite issue to work with hypnosis.
Mm-hmm.
So because so many, it was an accident really that I work with so many other hypnotherapists because when I first started hypnosis, and this is kind of a roundabout way, but I promise I will get to answer your question. When I first started learning hypnosis, I knew that I was going to have to put myself out there. And I was so afraid to put myself out there. I had a Facebook account, but I never used it. I never even opened it. And the only people who were my friends on Facebook were people that I had actually met in real life and people that I knew. And I never posted. I just, I was just wanted to be invisible. And when I went to Hypnothoughts the first time, which is the largest hypnosis conference in the world, I met all these hypnotists and I was so afraid to go, but I thought, oh, these are like the most open-hearted, loving humans. I felt so safe with them. And so I started friending hypnotists. So when I finally started putting myself out there, and I had been, so afraid to put myself out there, when I finally did it, I used Facebook to start talking about what I was doing. And all the people paying attention to me were all the hypnotists that I had friended. So what I have discovered is the thing that I have helped the most people with, and the thing that has been the most gratifying for me, is helping people overcome imposter syndrome. Helping hypnotists who have already trained or
because you know exactly how it feels.
Yes, I know exactly how it feels. And I know, and if anybody listening takes one thing from this conversation, it's this. And that is that feeling of not being ready is how what I call the imposter monster tries to keep you in your comfort zone. Because anytime we do something new or something unusual, it's almost always scary, depending on what it is, because that's how our unconscious mind, our lizard brain, our imposter monster, however you want to look at it, is trying to keep us safe by making us think that it's scary. And we can't wait to feel ready. So often I hear hypnotists say, I'm going to get one more certification. I'm going to do one more training. I'm going to read one more book. When I feel ready, I'm going to do this. And the thing is, the only way to feel ready is to do it afraid. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because as you quite rightly point out, Lori, we will perceive any kind of change, good or bad, as a threat.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's why this chair right here. I'm safe right here. I'm staying here. Yes.
Yeah.
But it's true, isn't it? The biggest things that we look forward to in life, the things we're supposed to enjoy the most, are also the most stressful. So getting married, having a baby, buying a car, buying a house, moving house, getting a new job, all the things we want or we're supposed to want, but they're also the most stressful because they take us straight out of our comfort zone.
Yeah. Yeah. So true.
I think moving house is supposed to be next to death in the list of fears.
And public speaking.
Yes, speaking. Most of us are kind of used to that now. But I publicly speak to two people under void, so I'm not sure how well I would do on the stage anymore. I've been without doing in-person stuff for so long now that I may have to have Martin hypnotize me, or maybe I'll give you a call. How does your practice shake out these days? Because I know you've had a few changes.
Yes. So I mentioned Tim Ferriss earlier, and the reason I started listening to him is because years ago he wrote a book called The 4 Hour Work Week, and I read it, and it just revolutionized my thought process around earning money, making a good living, making an impact in the world. And at the time, I was a hairstylist. I like these 3-syllable H words as professions, hypnotist and hairstylist. And I was asking myself, how can I make an excellent living and stop trading time for money? And so as I was learning hypnosis with the view to help myself, as I saw what a transformation it was giving me, I started thinking, what if I could do this as a way of making a living in the world? And because I was asking myself this question, the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your questions. And because I was asking myself, how can I do this? I started thinking, and this is pre-pandemic, when most people had never heard of Zoom, but I started asking myself, what if I could do hypnosis in a group setting and help a group of people at once? And I wasn't sure it would work, but that kind of solves that time for money issue. And so I was doing one-on-one sessions and I was doing group sessions. To be honest, I really enjoyed, I thrived in those group sessions. I absolutely loved them. And I started with a free 8-week hypnosis, group hypnosis training. And I had all the hypnotists fill out a survey, fill out an intake form, and we did an 8-week session. And at the end of the 8 weeks, every single person who had done that just said this was life-changing. This set me free. And each person was there with a different issue. So I validated that it would work. And so I started doing group sessions. And then I read this book called The Power of 8. And it's an incredible book that explains literally the science behind the magic that happens in a group setting when a group of people comes together. And that same magic is present. So for me, I do a group call every week called Trancy Tuesdays. It happens on Tuesday, go figure. And it's hypnotists from all around the world. And there's just this beautiful bond, this magic that is formed, this transformational session that happens. So that's, again, my long-winded way of saying my practice is mostly group work. And recently I ran a promotion. This promotion does not exist anymore, so don't ask. But I ran a promotion that allowed people who signed up for Trancy Tuesdays to get one private session with me. And I have to tell you, Denise and Martin, I'm so happy that I did it. It's been a lot of extra work because many people signed up. And so I've had sessions every day for 3 months, and I have 2 more months of sessions booked out. But I have learned so much about the formula for helping people transform in a one-on-one setting. And I've started applying that formula more consistently to my group sessions, and the breakthroughs are just amazing. So again, like you had mentioned, Martin, how a lot of times the things that help us grow the most are the most difficult. It's been a lot for me to do the one-on-one sessions, and I have learned so much, and I feel like I've grown so much. Yeah.
Brilliant. Sounds really, really good. So you got your work cut out for the next couple of months there.
I do. I'm enjoying it so much, but I'm kind of a person who likes to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And so to have things on my calendar, on my schedule, has been a little bit of a
challenging
learning. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
So what kind of issues have you been helping people with?
Well, almost everyone that I work with it has been a hypnotist. And so many of them come in for issues, just they might express it as saying, I want to make a difference in the world, but I don't feel ready. I'm not putting myself out there. Somehow I'm holding myself back. And so it's going in and unlocking that unconscious part of them that has been imposter monstering them and helping that part of them understand that it's safe to move forward, it's safe to make a difference in the world, and having them really vividly imagine. I don't want to say visualize, because some people imagine in another way.
Yeah.
Just really vividly imagine how beautiful life is going to be once they break free from that scary thing. The second most common issue that people have been asking for help with is actually weight management stuff. So, and those are my two favorite things to work with people for. So it's been fun.
I've had a few people recent as in the last 6 months, approach me because they don't want to take Ozempic or the other variant names, which I'm very grateful for, because there are a lot of problems with some of these things, and if it's not necessary, then there's much faster. I think it's faster. Martin, how long did it take you to lose all that weight?
I lost it over a year, didn't it? Altogether, it was over a year altogether, because I wasn't crash dieting.
It should be 2 pounds a week. So yeah, you were up there in that.
Because I'd done all the crash diets in the past. I'd done every fad diet going as well. And it wasn't another diet, it was changing. As Denise would say, that which I habitually eat. It was changing everything. It wasn't going onto a diet, and then because the minute you hear diet, your subconscious hears, "Oh, be finishing a diet," and of course we go back to our old ways, don't we? So it was a matter of changing. And what I did was I visualized and created for myself what I would need to eat once I'd lost the weight to maintain that weight. Okay. And then went about eating that, which of course, when you are heavier than that amount, you will slowly lose the weight. So I started eating as I intended to eat forevermore there and then, and just carried on. That was it. No more diets.
And he built in pineapples, which I think is great.
That's such a creative solution. I love it. Yeah.
Lori, pineapples are really low in calories. You can have a whole pineapple. It's about 300 calories.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, they are so low in calories and yet so sweet.
Okay.
Yeah, 30 calories per 100 gram.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah, people assume that they're really sort of high in calories because they are so sweet.
And it's also the fact that most places consider them to be the expensive fruit, rather than a regular old apple.
No, they're dirt cheap over here, pineapples.
Are they? Okay.
99 pence. So a pound.
When you consider what else has been going on in Britain for the last few years.
About $1.30.
Pineapples.
About $1.30.
Very good. So, Lori, have you moved towards working with hypnotists primarily, or do you still put yourself out there as a one-on-one hypnotist?
So after I read the book, The Power of Eight, before I read that book, I had one foot in each camp where I was doing one-on-one sessions. And I have to say, I was not super successful in reaching people and in having the amount of sessions that I would like to have had. So I was doing the one-on-one sessions and the group sessions. And so after I read the book, The Power of Eight, I kind of said, nope, I'm done with these. I'm going all in on the group sessions. So the only reason I'm doing one-on-ones now is because essentially I did that little experiment to see who would sign up for the group sessions, knowing they could get a one-on-one.
Because you promised.
Yes. I don't intentionally market myself to hypnotists. However, that's primarily who finds me and who pays attention to me and who engages. And therefore, I have a lot of digital trainings that I've built for them. I have a group called the Hammond Inner Circle Mastermind, where people come twice a month and we meet together, and I give them tools for building their hypnotherapy business the same way I've built mine. So it is my primary point of contact, but it hasn't been on purpose. It's just been, I never in a million years would have imagined myself working with other hypnotists when I decided to do this work. But it's, like I said, they're just the most open-hearted, beautiful people. So I'm very grateful that that's how it's come about.
You're one of the most recognizable names too. It may be the hair has something to do with it, because that is pretty memorable. But
thank you. Thank you.
Well, Lori, we've nearly filled the episode. Is there anything you'd like to say to our viewers and listeners?
Regarding why hypnosis works when it works, I recently created a training because I think there are so many of us, myself included, like this has deepened my understanding of why hypnosis works when it works. So I created a training. Am I going to remember what it's called? I don't even remember what it's called. So if you get
we'll put it in the notes below.
Thank you. Yeah. Email me at Lori@trancypants.com, TRANCYPANTS.com. And I will tell you about that training. It's an incredible, I've gotten more positive feedback about this training. Hypnotists saying, I'm finally ready to practice. I finally have confidence to help my clients. I finally understand why it works when it works. And that's the biggest thing I would like to leave people with is you are more ready than you realize. There's a part of you deep down that knows you are meant to make a difference in the world, and it is time for you to start. And if you're already doing it, it's time for you to just fully inhabit that confidence, because confidence is the number one indicator that a person is going to get the transformation that they seek.
That's fantastic, Lori. Thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure to be here.
We hope you've enjoyed listening. Please remember, this podcast is designed to give you an insight into therapeutic hypnosis and is for educational purposes only. So remember, consult with your own healthcare professional if you think something you've heard may apply to you or a loved one.
If you found this episode useful, you can apply for free continuing professional development or CME credits using the link provided in the show notes. Feel free to contact either of us through the links in the show notes. Join us again next week.